Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I am Megan Doherty from One Stone Creative, and today I am talking to Tiffany Anderson, who is a copywriter and content marketer, really enjoys everything involving the written word. Along with her copywriting business, she's currently writing her novel, Isolation, which you should keep an eye out for. I'm going to be asking about that, as well as she's the marketing director for not one, but two different companies. So plainly, this is a person who understands the value of good, strong copy. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me on the call today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's jump right into things. What is
Awesome.
copy? Because everyone needs it. Everyone's got to do it if you're working online. But as a professional in the space, how do you really define what is copy versus other kinds of content that you create?
Gotcha. I would say for me, everyone has a different definition, but for me, it is an art form. It is taking the written word and presenting it strategically to people of all backgrounds to come forth and have this beautiful written word that you can easily understand, that you can follow, and that you can push forward with.
Perfect. And the word you said there that I really liked was strategy. And that makes me think of, especially, working online, this is where a lot of our copy goes. Everyone says, if you're going to write good copy, it has to be for one person. You've got a niche. You've got to have your idea who you're writing for. What's your take on that? Are you pro? Are you against? How does that work?
That's hard because I'm like a jack of all trades. So I have written blogs, I've written flyers, I've done a little bit of direct sales marketing, not my favorite, but there's all different forms of copy. And I would say that would be a good way to start. It's just be one focus of one person. Like right now, I focus a lot of on accountants for clients because accountants usually are more of the left-brained. They hate writing. They hate creativity usually, and they can't grasp it because they're all the numbers people, which I am completely not. And I am the right brain, so I'm the creative, the English part, the writing, the words. And I do focus a lot of my marketing on those types of people and those clients, because that would be my ideal client, is someone who is just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to write this. This is frustrating. Let's not. It's kind of twofold, I would say, honestly.
Very cool. And so I just want to explore that a little bit. When you're working with someone who is, not a right brain, not a creative, not great with the whole word thing, how do you get from them what needs to be in the copy? Like, how do you extract from them what you need to communicate? Talk us through that.
Yeah, that's really hard. I had one guy who is amazing. I still work with him. He is so much fun. He designed a whole startup that basically allows people to, instead of going to Home Depot and Lowe's and buy tools, they can rent from their neighborhood. So he has a whole little app made to click on it. You'd be like, I need a ladder for $50. It'll pull up everyone in your neighborhood who's renting out their ladder for $50.
That is so cool.
It's amazing. And he is so much fun to talk to, but he literally cannot grasp with the writing. Like, his emails to me are so funny because they're bullet pointed. Like, I need this. I want this. I want this. And I'm over here like, la, 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 let's add all the fancy words. And he's like, if it's not bullet pointed, I probably won't read it, to be honest. I was like, okay, fair. So you really have to learn your clients. You really have to learn what it is that they wrap their minds around and what they comprehend and what they get, and target that specific thing. So for him, I know, hey, if I write this whole paragraph, he's not going to read it. I have another lady I love, and she won't read anything unless it's color-coded. No joke. It needs to be like a yellow line, red line, blue line, because if not, she's just like, I didn't follow it. She just can't pay attention that like, it frustrates her to read it, especially if I send her a huge paragraph. She's like, So I've learned to really detail down what I'm going to do for each client, to walk them through that process. And then I will send them rough drafts. I'll send them finished product. I talk to them the whole way through. So it's not like, okay, here's what we're going to do, and they hear from me in 3 weeks. Like, here you go. They have a say in the process. They have a say in, oh, hey, can we tweak that? Because I feel like for my readers, this would be better.
Okay. And so it's almost kind of like, and you can tell me if this is fair to say or not, you're almost like a translator or a bridge between your clients and their clients.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Awesome. So here's a question, and this kind of comes to it. If someone is writing their own copy, let's say, because a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, they've got to write their own copy. What are the big mistakes? How are people screwing up their own copy? Okay, you can be mean. This is not personal.
It's a loaded question. Honestly, I have a lot of people that I've talked to who is like, I want to work from home. I don't want this 9 to 5, which was my mindset totally. And then be like, I want to be my own boss. And, let's look up remote jobs online. And they'll just pull up this whole search engine, and it's all of these different jobs. And they're like, oh, copywriter, what's that? I did good in English in 9th grade. Mm-hmm. And they pull it up and like, oh, I could do this. They make tons of money. Oh boy. And then they go behind it and they're like, oh, I can do this. It's just writing. It's not that hard. And they don't study and they don't learn the disciplines of copywriting. They don't learn, actually it's pitching ideas and selling ideas and grabbing people's attention and then pushing them to other places to make them make that purchase. Either if it's a purchase like I have a client I work with who does dietitian needs. Mm-hmm. If she's always pushing people back to her website to buy her overnight oats that she makes. Always pushing people back, constantly pushing. But before she had a marketer who literally was just like, look how cute these oats are, done. And it wasn't doing anything. She wasn't selling anything because they were putting funny little quotes in that didn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. There was no pushback to the original, like, hey, this is what I'm selling. This is my product. So I see that a lot, and they don't take time to really study what it is that they're trying to do. And that's something that when I was creating my business, I was like, I want to know every single in and out of copywriting, because if not, I'm useless.
Okay, I love that. All about education over here. For studying, for learning these skills, who are some of your favorite teachers or mentors? Where did you start your studying?
Honestly, my father-in-law.
Really?
I began my whole adventure with my father-in-law because he handed me a book, and it was called The Copywriter's Guide to Copy, I believe, or the copy book or something like that. I cannot remember the author off the top of my head.
We'll find it, everyone who's watching, and link to it below.
But I really just started looking through it because that's something that I've always wanted to try. I've always wanted to try copy, but I never even knew where to start. So this whole little workbook was just like, hey, this is what it is. This is what we do. This is the different niches you can take with it, honestly, because there is like 60 million different copywriters that you can actually be, believe it or not. I have found out there's some really niche like ones that I have a friend who does horror copy. She works with a lot of like very dark copy. I don't know if I really do, but that's her thing, and she does amazing work. So it was really like sitting down and reading these books. I am a very avid reader. I have since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. And another one that was one of my favorite was The War on Art. I think it's Stephen Prescott, I believe. But his book was a real kick in the pants because it was do this, do your best, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't. And it was just a big motivator for me. So I've had a lot of mentors, but I would say my number one was probably my father-in-law, who just kept telling me, you can do this. You're a great writer, and learn all that you can.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's so nice to have someone like that in your life who can really kind of support you and be that sounding board and that launch pad as you're going on.
Very much.
So writing copy is a different beast now than it was in generations past because we have the internet, and the internet is full of platforms. So you're talking about having the idea of kind of what the end goal is for copy, and that's the end goal is really going to kind of be the same. But there's all these different platforms that people are on. So how do you maintain a consistent voice when you're on Twitter and on YouTube and on Facebook and on your blog and on your sales page? How do you even think about that as you're setting out to write copy?
That is a really tricky one, honestly, because like everyone's voice is so different in their writing. And that's the biggest thing I've learned throughout my whole life. And when I was in college, especially, I had a teacher who sat down with me and was like, you need to find your voice because you'll be serious toned over here. And then you'll be, your goofy, fun loving stuff over here. And your voice is not carrying across very well. And it really frustrated me, honestly, because I didn't know how. And then I had someone sit me down, same professor, I actually believe, and say, write in stream of conscious. Whatever you're writing, do that. Because that will carry across your voice, and then you can go back and edit it and, make sure it's not completely butched with grammar and So it was really taking apart piece by piece what I had learned, taking that stream of conscious and just writing what I felt, because that gives across my personality, which is fun-loving. I love life. I'm usually very positive. And that gave me that voice and that edge to where when I wrote it and when I just typed whatever I was thinking, I could go back and be like, okay, so these are disjointed, but I can join them here. I can reword this. And that's how I'm able to really give across who I am as a person across different platforms, which is, I'm still learning. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It takes a lot of time and practice.
Okay, so it would be kind of what I'm hearing is that if you do have different platforms that you need to be writing copy for, all kind of with that end goal in mind, you'd want to just really get the idea and the message out there and not worry about anything except, it's your voice and your personality, and then go back and almost apply the structure to the different elements.
Exactly.
Okay, and we're going to edit this out of the final version, but repeat that back to me so that can be the quote that we make for you later. So,
let me see if I can remember all that you said. How should I even form that?
So I just say, to kind of bring it back around, get out your copy with the end goal in mind.
Okay.
And then go back and enforce the structure needed for different platforms onto it once you know your voice is solid.
Okay. To bring it all back, I would say make sure that the content is out there that you need and that you want. And then go back and structure it however it needs to be structured. Every structure is different.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
So, and that kind of leads right into the next thing I wanted to talk about is when you're kind of sitting down to start writing this copy, really getting your voice and really kind of making sure your personality's in it with that goal in mind. Do you outline, do you plan, or is it really just stream of consciousness, just go? Like what's your kind of process for writing? Please tell us all your secrets.
It's different, honestly. Like when I was in high school, I had a lot of people tease me because I could not write an outline to save my life. I would just write. And as I've started doing more with the copy and less of the fiction, which I still do fiction a lot. My fiction is literally all stream of consciousness and just thinking like it's a movie because I usually always can see it in my head. But with copy, I outline everything down to bullet points. So I usually start out between 5 and 10 bullet points. I usually have like this idea, all the way down. And under each one, I'll put 2 or 3 sentences. And then I start going back and saying, how can we refine this? How can we make this more polished? I'll add more sentences. Then I'll start shrinking it down, depending on word count too. It really changes. I do a lot of blogs. So I usually start with about 5 points that my client wants to make. So we'll start with those 5 points, and I'll put a sentence or 2 underneath each one until it's fleshed out into completion and I have a finished product.
Okay, very cool. I like that. And I want to talk a little bit more about working for a client, especially doing something like a blog, where it's so important that it's, it's your client's voice and not your own.
Exactly.
And again, like with the clients who don't have that word power, the extraction process. How do you dig into someone to get a sense of them and their voice?
Honestly, it depends on what kind of blogging I'm doing. I'm a storytelling copywriter. So I usually focus on people's stories and make it more of a readable format like you're reading a book. But it's only 500 words, so it's very short and precise and specific. I actually bring along a recorder for most of my sessions with people and clients, especially if they're telling me like how they started their business. So I have direct quotes from them, and it can read in the form that they're talking to me, and we're going back in an interview style, and it can read more of a story like, okay, today I'm meeting so-and-so. She opened this business, and here's some things about her. Instead of like, here's some things, this is the person, okay, bye. Like very choppy, because I read a lot of those blogs and they have their place, but usually I try to make it more of a readable format.
Okay. Perfect. And another organization question kind of tied to the outlining. When you're doing copy, especially copy that's really directed at that end goal, making a sale, getting a conversion, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. There are links, there are social accounts, there are old posts you're linking to. Do you have a system or a structure that you use to organize that information and make sure everything gets to where it needs to be?
Yes, I do. And it's really not, let me see how I say this, the most functional way, honestly. But I open up about 5 different Word documents, depending on what I'm working with, put them all in a separate area, or do like the little sticky notes on computers. I have a bunch of stickies open just so I can see it. And I'll even write them all down by hand because I'm very tactile. I like to have things written out. I like to feel and see. I'm a visual learner. If I have everything opened at once, I can literally copy and paste, put this here, put this over here, this link goes over here. And as I finish using all the links, I'll start closing out the Word documents until I'm finished and have one open.
Process of elimination. I love it.
Basically, a lot of people hate how I organize things because they're like, this makes no logistical sense. And I probably could save time doing it a different way, but that's how my mind works. So it's been the easiest for me.
Yeah, and that's important too, is having the system, not just, for the writing or the client talking to or the links, it's play to your own strengths.
Yes,
and
exactly.
No one has to see how the sausage is made.
It's not pretty, but it'll look pretty when it's done.
And that's what everyone cares about with copy, and that it converts.
Exactly.
So of the platforms, so you've got a blog, you've got sales page, you've got other website content, and you've got the various social medias. What are
Yes.
your favorites? What are the ones that you find the most fun?
Oh gosh. Honestly, my favorite is blogs and website content. I
Mhm.
recently redid a whole website for a company who specializes in helping women who struggle with infertility.
Mhm.
And redoing their website was such a gift. That was one of the, it's like so much fun for me. It took me almost a month. It was a blast. And just taking a little bit at a time and taking bite-sized chunks. I did their landing page. I did their about me's. All the doctors' bios literally sound like resumes. I went back and made them so that it was like telling their story, telling how they began, telling how this has meant so much to them and how they have progressed as doctors. And that honestly was one of my favorite things. I really would say website content and blogs are my favorite. But I also do like social media. A lot of social media, like I'm still learning. That is not my forte, but that's one of the things I really want to get into more. And so I'm picking on myself. Like I'm learning how to do it by doing my own so that I can help other people.
Fantastic. And last question that I've got for you here. If someone is sitting down and they know they've got their business, maybe they're not a word person, but they do have to write their own copy just based on where they are right now, what is the one thing you wish they would keep in mind as they're going through it?
I would say be direct. Always be direct and to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't try to add all these, oh, look at this little colloquialism. Look at this little cliche. Like, don't add all these words that mean nothing. Always have words that have value. Don't just keep pushing things on people because it sounds pretty. That was the biggest thing that I've had to learn. And I would always advise someone trying to get into this market and trying to do copy, be direct.
Okay, that is fantastic advice. I know that's a weakness of myself. I will go on as long as word counts will let me. So
You do, and it's a fall. I understand.
Perfect. So where are you online? How can people get in touch with you, learn more, hire you?
I usually work the most through Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook anytime. My website's TiffanyWritesLLC.com. You can find me on there as well. Shoot me a message. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on a lot of different things. I'm trying to really narrow it down and get more content pushed out of my own personal platforms, because truth be told, for any writer that I have ever met, the hardest thing ever is to write for yourself. So it's learning to write your own things. So my website, if you see it, is still in the works because it's difficult. It's not easy to write for yourself. It's not easy to really brag on yourself as a writer.
And I'm sorry, I said that was the last question. That was a complete lie because I forgot to get you to tell us about the novel that you're writing. Please do.
Oh my goodness.
When can we read it?
My goal, honestly, is I want it to be done end of next year, but I have no idea if that's a realistic goal, to be honest, because I'm about 40,000 words in, I think. Maybe. I have no idea. It is a thriller. I like to write really mind-bending things. So the ending is not what you're going to be expecting whatsoever. And it's been an adventure. I've been working on it since 2014, I believe. So it's a work in progress, but it's one of those things that relaxes me, that I realized that I was actually decent at writing. I won a couple competitions with the short story I wrote in college, and after that, I was like, I could write this. I could do thrillers. This is what I could be good at. And so be looking for it in stores, hopefully near you in the future.
Perfect. Hopefully we'll see you for NaNoWriMo this year.
Yes, right?
And just a last question. This just made me think of it, and I'm sorry to keep you. I'll be respectful of your time, I
You're
promise.
fine. No, you're good.
But has writing fiction and worked on Snellbot, has it influenced the copy, the more kind of technical side of your business, and what is the interplay between those things?
That's a hard one because I really started out as a novelist. I started out as fiction and wanting to pull people in and to make them think about things. I love connecting people and getting them to use their brains more without sounding demeaning, to make them think like, wow, so this could be a completely different, oh, how about this avenue, this avenue? And when I started writing more copy, I realized that I could do that with copy as well. I realized I didn't have to do the direct sales like sign up now and you'll receive a free little, because that's not me as a person. So the correlation really between them is learning my voice, like we talked about earlier, and really learning that I can do whatever I set my mind to in this realm as well as my fiction realm.
That is fantastic. Tiffany, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our
Thank
call. I'm sure
you.
everyone listening is enjoying the call. All of the links for how to get in touch with Tiffany, everybody, are below. And yeah, hope to see very, very great things from you in the coming weeks, months, and years.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.